Hotorchi has to be the most confusing person you ever meet in the Reason to Die community. He has this sort of bipolar moment where he becomes your friend, then the next day he hates you for no particular reason at all, just because you disagree with him. Now I believe the best way we can start this video is by talking about how all this shit began. So to summarize it, Hotorchi joined in 2016 and is mostly famous because of his art. He had a great standing in the community at the time and was eventually promoted to a chat mod in the Discord, mostly due to sucking up the Jopeed. Later, he was promoted to a moderator, then he resigned a total of 4 times, but I will elaborate on that later. So after that, he makes an even bigger joke of himself by saying he would quit the community for good, but a day later, he comes back desperate for attention. You might be telling yourself, Cap, you're a dumbass for giving him what he wants. And I see where you're coming from, judging by the fact he needs attention to be relevant in a community slowly fading away from past drama. But there's an even bigger problem within the community which no one has shed light to. It's even sadder when the problem is inside the staff itself rather than the general fan base. It's a complicated situation that even I don't have all the answers to. It's like a double-edged sword where there's always a trade-off. Now that you understand the situation, I'll be going to my first point, scamming. Ever since Hotorchi got his first position of power, his popularity skyrocketed. Although some people got drawings for free at one point, he began charging people for them. It came to light that a majority of the sales were not completed, and Hotorchi would soon abandon all of them. After a few months, he announced that he would refund some of them, when in reality he only refunded a few and blamed those who didn't ask for refunds for not getting them. In the description, I'll link a video that goes more into depth about this situation, as this is just one of many points I have. Now onto my next point. To summarize it, Hotorchi quit being a mod. It sounds simple, right? Well, I wish it was that simple. He had to quit 4 different times, and on those 4 different times, he didn't actually quit. All that happened was Hotorchi said he did, or was going to, and did not do it, presumably to get attention, and act like the victim. I don't know if he's bipolar, or flat out retarded, but he kept threatening to quit mod like anyone gave a shit. Remember, at this point, everyone was fed up with him desperately trying to get attention. Every time something happens, whether it's a disagreement or a joke, he would instantly threaten to quit mod and Reason to Die as a whole. In the end, he did eventually quit, but for one singular reason he keeps changing each time you ask him. At first, he didn't want mod, then he got fired by Jopeed, then after he quit after arguing with Jopeed. The story changes each time, but if you want to know the actual reason why he quit, it was because he had his mod removed for an hour by PR, because he abused Warrens with Jopeed on Discord. PR didn't know that Jopeed and Hotorchi were messing around, and he assumed Hotorchi was flat out abusing his commands. Jopeed was told on Skype to stop, and he appealed to PR for Hotorchi to get back all his commands, and PR did just that. But of course, Hotorchi, being the sensitive person he is, decided to quit mod right after that, and blamed it all on Jopeed. Hotorchi only got mod when he was sucking up to Jopeed around spring of 2017. He made drawings that did things Jopeed would approve of to boost his ego. Same with PR by drawing him as you can see here. Around October and November, it was when officially he quit mod on his own terms. Not even a week later, he began attacking Jopeed for no valid reason at all. This soon developed to a constant drama between the two, where Hotorchi would start a flame war, and Jopeed on the most part would ignore, but once he responded, Hotorchi would generally claim he did nothing wrong. A month prior to Hotorchi quitting, he used to defend Jopeed at all costs. A month after he quit, he'll claim Jopeed was abusing without saying why or what his motives were. Why? Who the fuck knows? He changes his reason every time you ask him. It most likely has to do with Hotorchi being in Team Blazing and Communist Squad, which both hate Jopeed to death for other reasons that should be its own video. He tries to hide the fact he's in these 2 groups by not joining the actual groups and blaming TB for anything he does to cover his tracks, just like how he blames all his friends when he does something bad. This can be the same with how he blames Jopeed for something Place Rebuilder did. But Cap, you defended Hotorchi in your video. He's your friend. You're just going to betray him like that? He was my friend. He started getting annoying and pissing me off in my own chat and did nothing to contribute after he lost his mod. I even made a deal with him saying I would give him 50% of the sales in my group store if the t-shirt was made by him. What did he do, you might ask? He left my group in Discord entirely, losing that benefit. I gave him a lot of chances to rejoin so he can get the Robux he deserved, since I did not want to be called a scammer, as this was the art he put effort into. Out of all the times I try to get him back to rejoin so he can get his Robux, he fails to do the simplest task by pressing join on the group. After all of this, he asks if he could rejoin weeks later. When I tell him yes, he still doesn't. He acts like the victim, saying he was used by all these people when he had so many benefits that people would kill for. You'll notice this is a common theme with Hotorchi. He plays the victim very often and not without any reason. One example being he told everyone in the Reason to Die staff team that he was being bullied, yet no one ever saw him get bullied. If you still think he's a victim, this might change your mind. Hotorchi and his friends were making a private battle royale type game using Reason to Die awakening meshes, GUIs, and maps. Now this is obviously not allowed as exploiting the game is punishable with a permaban, something that has been enforced several times. Leaking Reason to Die assets is also not allowed, at least in the public. According to PR, it is allowed as long as it's kept private. Same goes to the battle royale game Hotorchi is making. Now onto the final and most important point, the staff team. Ever since Joe got fired, the staff team started showing their true colors. Some being loyal members, and some saying they always hated Joe, even though most of them sucked up to him previously. This is a problem Joe now realizes that plagued him. This is a civil war within the staff team that would soon affect the community soon after. There's nobody to solve problems within the community and staff. You can see this as most of the chat moderators and mods are making up their own rules, banning and unmuting people for no reason, most of which Joe solved by just being an admin. Hotorchi may not be a mod yet, but he's been making several maps for Reason to Die, one of which has already got accepted, Blocks Harbor. But before I continue, I should stop and say that the entire map wasn't made by him, but it was made none other by Maniac. Hotorchi claimed he made it because it was his favorite Reason to Die map, and did not do it for the dev role, but when PR refused to give it to him, he acted like he never wanted it. But a day later, he's complaining about it, whining, like PR broke up with him.